Welcome to Marble Mind. Here we forge an unshakable spirit in the fire of ancient wisdom. Look into the mirror of your life and ask yourself, who are you when the lights go out? When the notifications fall silent? When there is no one left to impress? Most people spend their entire lives fleeing from this question. They flee into the arms of shallow company. They drown themselves in the digital roar. They cling to the wreckage of broken relationships just to avoid the terrifying silence of their own company. They are afraid of the void. They are afraid that if they stop moving, stop talking, and stop performing, they will find that there is nothing underneath. But you are different. You are here because you have felt the call of the desert. You have sensed that the noise of the crowd is not a shelter, but a cage. Stoicism tells us that solitude is not a punishment, it is a purification. It is the fire that burns away the dross of social conditioning, the rot of public opinion, and the parasitic need for validation. What remains after the fire has done its work is not ash, it is steel. In this session, we will explore the alchemy of being alone. We will walk with Marcus Aurelius as he finds his sanctuary amidst the blood and mud of the Danubian frontier. We will sit with Seneca as he faces exile on the jagged rocks of Corsica. We will learn from Epictetus how to turn a prison cell into a palace of the mind. This is not a guide on how to be lonely. Loneliness is the cry of the weak who lack an internal world. Solitude is the throne of the strong who have conquered themselves. We will learn how to use the purification by fire to strip away everything that is not truly yours, until you stand as a monolith, immovable, self-sufficient, and eternal. Prepare yourself. The transition from the warmth of the crowd to the cold clarity of the mountain is painful. It will burn. It will hurt, but it is the only way to find the stone that cannot be broken. Let the world fade away. Let the voices die out. The forge is hot, and the work begins now. To understand the power of solitude, you must first understand the sickness of the crowd. Stoicism identifies a fundamental flaw in the modern man. He is a social parasite. He does not generate his own light. He reflects the flickering candles of those around him. He does not know if he is good, successful, or worthy until someone else tells him so. This is a state of profound fragility, a house built on sand in the middle of a hurricane. Think of your current life. How much of what you do is a performance? You buy things you don't need to impress people you don't like. You adopt opinions you haven't tested to fit into circles that don't care about you. You leak your energy in 1,000 directions, trying to maintain a mask that the world expects you to wear. This constant friction wears down the soul. It creates a film of dust over your reason. You have become a stranger to yourself, lost in a labyrinth of mirrors. Marcus Aurelius, the ruler of the known world, warned himself in his journals. Men seek retreats for themselves, houses in the country, seashores, and mountains. But this is altogether the mark of the most common sort of men. For it is in thy power whenever thou shalt choose to retire into thyself. He saw that people use vacations and escapes to flee from their internal chaos. But the Stoic knows that you cannot run from a mind that is out of order. The crowd acts as a narcotic. It numbs the pain of your own stagnation. As long as you are surrounded by people who are just as lost as you are, you don't have to face the terrifying reality of your own potential. You settle for the average. You accept a life of quiet desperation because everyone else is doing the same. This is the decay. It is a slow, silent rot that eats away at your ambition and your clarity. True solitude begins with a brutal audit. Look at your friends. Do they challenge your mind, or do they merely distract you from your purpose? Look at your habits. Do they build your fortress, or do they drain your moat? Most social interactions are nothing more than a mutual exchange of delusions. We agree to pretend that we are happy, and in return, others pretend to believe us. The fire of solitude starts when you stop participating in this theater. It starts when you say no to the meaningless gathering, when you turn off the screen, when you sit in a room and allow the silence to scream at you. In those first moments of real isolation, the social self begins to starve. The ego panics. It demands attention. It creates anxiety, whispering that you are being forgotten, that the world is moving on without you. Good. Let it panic. Let it burn. This anxiety is the sound of the parasite dying. It is the sound of the chains of public opinion rusting away. You are not losing your social life. You are reclaiming your soul. You are clearing the ground for a foundation that does not depend on a like, a nod, or a handshake. The Stoic does not hate people, but he is suspicious of the them. The them is the collective mediocrity that seeks to pull you back down into the mud. To escape, you must be willing to be the villain in their story. You must be willing to be weird, cold, or distant. This is the first step of the purification. You must walk away from the warmth of the herd and head toward the freezing peaks of the self. It is lonely at first, but the air is thinner, the vision is clearer, and for the first time in your life, you are breathing your own oxygen, not the exhaled breath of 1,000 fools. Analyze your circle tonight. If they vanished tomorrow, what would be left of you? If the answer is nothing, then you are already dead. You are a ghost inhabiting a body. It is time to wake up. It is time to enter the fire. The path of the Stoic is not found in the comfort of the library, but in the desolation of the frontier. When Marcus Aurelius led his legions against the Marcomanni, he was not surrounded by the luxuries of Rome. He was trapped in a wasteland of mud, blood, and freezing rain. He was the most powerful man on earth, yet he was profoundly alone. In his tent, by the flickering light of a single lamp, he realized that the only true sanctuary is the one you build behind your own eyes. Most people think of solitude as a break or a soft retreat. They are wrong. Real solitude is a hostile environment. It is a desert where there is no shade to hide your flaws and no water to drown your regrets. When you remove the distractions of the world, you are left with the one person you have spent your whole life avoiding: yourself. And for most, that person is a stranger, a chaotic, demanding, and fearful stranger. The Stoic does not seek solitude to find peace. He seeks it to find war. He goes into the silence to confront his own shadows. Seneca wrote that we should retire into oneself as often as possible. But he warned that the mind is a dangerous place for the undisciplined. If you enter the silence without a purpose, the silence will consume you. You will fall into the trap of rumination and self-pity. This is why the first tool of the desert is the rule of objective observation. Look at your thoughts as if they were terrain on a map. I am lonely is a subjective lie. I am sitting in a room without other humans is an objective fact. When the fire of solitude begins to burn, it first attacks your adjectives. It burns away the horrible, the unbearable, and the unfair. It leaves only the is. In this desert, you learn the art of self-sufficiency. You realize that the sun rises whether you have an audience or not. The wind blows whether you are praised or cursed. Nature is indifferent to your ego, and in that indifference, there is a terrifying freedom. You are no longer a character in a social play. You are a biological fact. You are a fragment of the universe, and the universe does not need a reason to exist. It simply exists. When you master the desert of the mind, you become a fortress. You learn that you can be happy in a palace and content in a prison cell, because your joy no longer leaks out into the hands of others. You have dug a well in the middle of the wasteland. You drink from your own source. This is the stage where the need for others dies, and the choice to be with others is born. You no longer seek company out of hunger. You seek it out of abundance. But until you can survive the desert alone, you will always be a slave to whoever offers you a drop of water. Every word you speak to another person is a stitch in a mask you wear. We dress ourselves in titles, in status, and in the stories we tell about our past. We become so attached to this social skin that we forget there is living flesh underneath. Solitude is the acid that melts this skin away. It is a brutal, necessary deconstruction. Consider the life of Epictetus. He began his life as a slave. He had no status, no property, and for a long time, no name that he chose for himself. He was stripped of everything that the world considers identity. Yet in that total nakedness, he found something that the emperors of Rome could never buy: ataraxia, the imperturbable stillness of the soul. He realized that if you have nothing that the world can take away, you are truly invincible. In the heat of the fire, your reputation is the first thing to turn to ash. In solitude, it doesn't matter what people think of you, because there are no people. It doesn't matter if you are right or wrong in an old argument, because the argument has ended. You are forced to face your own naked character. Are you disciplined when no one is watching? Are you honest when there is no one to lie to? Are you strong when there is no one to lean on? Most men are virtuous only because they fear the judgment of their peers. They are hard-working only because they want the promotion. They are kind only because they want to be liked. This is not virtue. It is a transaction. It is a costume. The Stoic purification demands that you find a virtue that is independent of an audience. You must become a man of honor in a void. When you are alone for long enough, you stop performing your life and start living it. The need to be seen is replaced by the need to be integrated. You begin to act according to your own internal laws, not the fluctuating laws of the marketplace. Think of a statue being carved from a block of marble. The sculptor does not add anything to the stone. He removes it. He chips away the excess. He cuts away the stone that doesn't belong. Your social self is the excess stone. Your solitude is the chisel. Every day you spend in the fire, another piece of the lie falls away. It is painful to lose these pieces. It feels like losing a limb. But what is left behind is the essential man. The essential man does not need to talk about his values because he is his values. He does not need to show his strength because he is the strength. He has survived the death of his mask, and now he is finally, terrifyingly real. If this path resonates in your heart, become a part of our brotherhood. Subscribe to Marble Mind. Belonging is a drug. From the moment you were born, the world has tried to tether you to something. A tribe, a family, a political party, a subculture. They tell you that without these connections, you are nothing. But the Stoic looks at these chains and sees a cage. Every time you say we instead of I, you surrender a piece of your sovereign territory. Solitude is the act of reclaiming that land. It is the declaration of independence for the soul. Seneca, in his letters to Lucilius, emphasized that a man should be able to live with himself before he is fit to live with anyone else. If you belong to everyone, you belong to no one, least of all yourself. Think of the weight you carry from other people's expectations, your parents' dreams for you, your friends' criticisms, your partner's demands. These are not yours. They are parasitic growths that have attached themselves to your spirit because you were too afraid to stand alone. In the fire of purification, these attachments are the first to melt. When you sit in true solitude, you begin to see where you end and they begin. You realize that most of your desires were never yours. They were merely echoes of the crowd's hunger. You don't actually want the status symbol. You want the feeling of being accepted by the herd. You don't actually fear failure. You fear the look in their eyes when they see you fall. The Stoic practice of autarkia, self-sufficiency, is the ultimate weapon. It is the ability to walk away from any table where respect is no longer being served. But you cannot walk away if you are addicted to the belonging. You must train yourself to be comfortable being the outcast. In the eyes of the world, the man who is alone is sad. In the eyes of the Stoic, the man who is alone is sovereign. You are not lonely. You are just not being distracted. You are building a world where your validation comes from the alignment of your actions with your reason, not from the applause of the gallery. The forge of autonomy is cold at first. It feels like exile. But as you stay in the fire, you realize that exile is only possible if you believe you belong somewhere else. Once you realize you belong only to the logos, to the universal reason, you are home everywhere. No one can kick you out of your own mind. No one can excommunicate you from your own character. You become a monolith. You stand tall not because you are being held up by others, but because your foundation goes deep into the bedrock of the earth. You are no longer a leaf in the wind. You are the mountain that the wind breaks itself against. There is a scream that happens in the middle of the night. Not a sound, but a feeling. It is the realization that you are fundamentally, inescapably alone in this universe. You were born alone, and you will die alone. Most people hear this scream and immediately turn on the light, pick up the phone, or reach for a drink. They try to drown the void. The Stoic does the opposite. He listens to the scream. He turns toward the void and says, "Show me what you have." This is the transformation of loneliness into solitude. Loneliness is a state of lack. It is the feeling that you are a half-finished puzzle waiting for someone else to provide the missing piece. Solitude is a state of fullness. It is the realization that you are the entire puzzle, and the missing pieces were in your pocket the whole time. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself that the world is change, and life is what our thoughts make of it. If you think the void is empty, it will swallow you. If you think the void is a canvas, you will paint a masterpiece on it. The steel is forged when you stop looking for external solutions to internal problems. When you are alone, you are forced to handle your own emotions. There is no one to vent to. There is no one to blame for your bad mood. There is no one to provide a temporary high of validation. You are the only person in the room. If you are bored, it is because you are boring. If you are anxious, it is because you lack discipline. This is the most brutal part of the purification. It strips away the luxury of being a victim. In solitude, you are the judge, the jury, and the executioner of your own flaws. You learn to, quote, self-correct. You learn to sit with your anxiety until it grows tired of screaming and falls asleep. You learn to look at your darkest impulses with the cold eye of a scientist. This process creates an internal density. You become heavier. You are no longer easily moved by the opinions of others because you have already survived the harshest critic in the world, your own conscience. You have faced the void and found that it cannot kill you. In fact, you have found that the void is where your strength lives. A man who has mastered the void is a man who can never be threatened. What can you take from a man who needs nothing? How can you insult a man who knows himself better than you ever could? You have turned your isolation into a fortress of power. From this point on, you are no longer a seeker. You are a creator. You don't go into the world to find things. You go into the world to impose your will upon it. Your steel is hardening. The fire has done its work. You have learned that the only person who can truly save you is the one you see in the mirror during the hours of total silence. Solitude is not a permanent escape. It is a tactical withdrawal. In the military traditions of the ancient world, a commander would often pull his troops back from the front line, not to surrender, but to regroup, sharpen the blades, and analyze the enemy's movements from a distance. This is how the Stoic treats his time alone. It is his strategic shadow. Epictetus used the metaphor of the athlete. He said that a wrestler does not become strong by only wrestling in the arena. He becomes strong in the gymnasium of silence, where there is no crowd to cheer and no opponent to blame for his bruises. If you cannot maintain your discipline when you are alone, your virtue in public is nothing more than a performance. It is fragile. It will shatter the moment the pressure becomes real. The practical application of this shadow work is the premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Most people use their solitude to daydream about success, fame, and pleasure. They build castles in the air. The Stoic uses his solitude to build bunkers in the ground. When you are alone, sit with the darkness. Imagine the worst-case scenarios. Imagine losing your wealth. Imagine your reputation being dragged through the mud. Imagine the death of those you love. Do not do this to be morbid. Do this to strip these fears of their power. In the silence, you look these monsters in the eye and realize they are just shadows. You rehearse your response. You decide in the calm of your room how you will act when the world becomes a chaotic storm. By doing this, you eliminate the element of surprise. When disaster eventually strikes, the crowd will panic. They will scream and scatter. But you will be silent. You will be calm, because you have already faced this disaster 1,000 times in your solitude. You have already bled in your mind, so that you do not have to bleed in the street. Solitude gives you the lead time on reality. While others are reacting to the present, you are executing a plan you forged in the past. You are moving while they are flailing. This is the difference between a victim and a master. The time you spend alone is the time you spend preloading your courage. Tonight, do not seek comfort in your silence. Seek resistance. Find the things that scare you the most and invite them to dinner. Dissect them with the cold blade of your reason. The more you die in your solitude, the more immortal you become in the arena. We are often told that greatness happens in big moments, on stages, in boardrooms, or on battlefields. But the Stoic knows that greatness is built in the small, invisible moments of a solitary life. It is in how you make your bed when no one is visiting. It is in how you eat your meal when you are alone. It is in the quality of your attention when you are doing the most mundane tasks. Seneca observed that many men are busy with 1,000 things, yet they have never lived. They are always preparing for a future that never arrives. They treat their daily life as something to be gotten through so they can reach the important stuff. But the fire of solitude teaches you that the ordinary is the only place where virtue can actually exist. When you are alone, there is a temptation to let yourself go, to be sloppy, to be lazy, to be undisciplined. After all, who's going to see? The Stoic answer is, you are seeing, and you are the only witness that matters. Practice the sanctity of the routine. In your solitude, treat every action with the gravity of a religious ritual. If you are cleaning your room, do it with total precision. If you are writing, do it with total honesty. If you are exercising, do it with total intensity. By doing this, you are telling your subconscious that your standards are internal, not social. You are teaching your soul that good enough is a lie told by the weak to justify their mediocrity. This alchemy of the ordinary turns your daily life into stone. It makes your character dense and heavy. When you finally step out of your solitude and back into the world, you carry this density with you. You don't need to try to be disciplined in a meeting. You are disciplined by habit. You don't need to try to be calm in a crisis. Your soul has already practiced calm in the silence of your kitchen. The world tries to distract you with the big picture, but the Stoic focuses on the pixel. If every pixel is perfect, the picture will take care of itself. Solitude is the laboratory where you perfect the pixels. Stop waiting for a great opportunity to show your strength. Your strength is being tested right now in the way you sit, in the way you think, and in the way you handle the next 10 minutes of silence. If you cannot be a king in your own room, you will be a beggar on the throne. The fire is burning in the small things. Let it burn away the sloppiness. Let it leave only the polished stone. When you return from the fire of solitude to the world of men, you will find that your vision has changed. You will see things that were previously invisible. You will hear the lies beneath the laughter and the desperation beneath the pride. Solitude has given you a filter of truth. You are no longer a sponge soaking up the emotions of the room. You are a sieve that only allows the essential to pass through. The Stoic does not fear social interaction, but he is no longer a slave to it. Marcus Aurelius noted that we should treat people with kindness, but we must never let their chaos penetrate our internal citadel. Your time alone has taught you the price of admission. You now realize that most people are not looking for a friend. They are looking for a mirror to validate their own weaknesses. They want you to join them in their complaints, their gossip, and their trivialities. Before your purification, you would have joined them because you were afraid of the silence. But now the silence is your home. You no longer feel the need to fill the air with empty words. This makes you dangerous to the mediocre. Your refusal to participate in the social play is a silent judgment on their lifestyle. Use your solitude as a weapon of selection. If a relationship cannot survive your silence, let it die. If a friendship requires you to betray your principles to be included, let it go. You are not losing people, you are removing noise. The steel of your character is now too hard to be scratched by the opinions of those who have never faced themselves in the dark. You will notice that as you become more comfortable being alone, you attract a different kind of person. You attract those who are also self-sufficient. You attract the stony men. Your circle becomes smaller, but it becomes heavier, like a collection of diamonds instead of a pile of dust. This is the goal. You are building a brotherhood of the sovereign, not a herd of the lost. Be ruthless with your time. It is the only coin you have that can never be earned back. Do not spend it on those who wish to use your presence to escape their own boredom. If they cannot sit with you in a meaningful silence, they have no right to your words. Your thought is important. Leave a short but meaningful comment under this video. Let it be your seal on today's lesson. In the silence of the night, when the world is stripped away, a new voice begins to emerge. It is not the voice of your ego, nor the voice of your fears. It is the voice of the hegemonicon, the ruling faculty of the soul. This is your inner emperor. For the Stoic, the goal of life is not to be a good person in the eyes of society, but to be a god in the eyes of your own reason. Not a god of myth and magic, but a god of absolute self-mastery. Epictetus taught that we carry a fragment of the divine within us. This fragment is our ability to choose our response to any event. In solitude, This fragment expands until it fills the entire room. When you are surrounded by people, your inner emperor is often shouted down by the citizens of your mind, the impulses, the desires, and the need for approval. But in solitude, the citizens are silenced. The emperor takes the throne. You begin to issue decrees to yourself. I will not be angry. I will not be lazy. I will be honest, even if it hurts. This is the birth of true authority. A man who cannot lead himself can never lead others. A man who is afraid of his own company is a man who is unfit to command. By spending time in the fire of loneliness, you have proven that you can survive without the bread and circuses of the world. You have shown that you are the master of your own internal landscape. Consider the regal calm of a master. He does not rush. He does not shout. He does not plead. You can stand in the middle of a celebration or a riot and still hear the quiet whisper of your inner emperor. This is the ultimate mastery, to be in the world, but not of the world. Your solitude has become your power plant. Whenever you feel your resolve weakening, whenever you feel the urge to seek external validation, you must return to the fire. You must sit in the dark until the social parasite starves again. You must burn away the new layers of dust that life has settled upon you. The flame of the self is eternal, but only if you feed it with the fuel of discipline. Most men are like grass. They burn bright for a moment and then turn to ash. You must be like the coal, slow to ignite, but capable of holding a heat that can melt iron. Never apologize for your need to be alone. Never feel the need to explain your absence to the world. You are not absent. You are present with the only person who can determine your worth. You are tending to the fire that will light your way through the final valley. The crowd lives for the moment. The Stoic lives for eternity. And eternity is a very quiet place. Get used to the silence. Embrace the cold. Keep your steel sharp. You are the master of the fire now. The forge has cooled. The smoke has cleared. And you are still here. We have journeyed through the desert of the mind, stripped away the masks of society, and faced the scream of the void. You have felt the fire burn away your need for others, your fear of judgment, and your hunger for belonging. What is left standing in the center of the ruins is something the world cannot understand, and something the world can never break. Solitude has done its work. It has taken the soft, malleable clay of your social self and fired it into the hard, unyielding marble of a Stoic spirit. You now know the greatest secret of the ancient masters, that the man who is comfortable being alone is the only man who is truly free. You no longer look to the horizon for a savior. You no longer look to the crowd for a leader. And you no longer look to the stars for a sign. You have found the Savior, the leader, and the sign within your own breast. You have realized that the silence was never your enemy. It was the womb of your greatness. As you close this session and return to the noise of the world, carry the fire with you. Let your eyes be a little colder, your words a little fewer. and your heart a little heavier with the weight of your own autonomy. Do not tell the world what you have learned. Do not brag about your purification. Just live it. Let them wonder why you are so calm when they are in panic. Let them wonder why you are so silent when they are so loud. Let them wonder where you get your strength. You will know, and that is enough. The world will try to break you. It will try to bend you. But it is difficult to break stone, and it is impossible to bend steel. You are the product of the fire. You are the master of the void. You are the marble mind. Hold the line, stay cold, and never let the fire go out. This is Marble Mind.